A new season of racing always brings with it new challenges, new levels of excitement, and of course, new questions to be answered. And as we get ready to kick off this new season of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series, several of those questions rise to the forefront of our minds. Can the seemingly untouchable Brandon Proudfoot keep himself on top and claim yet another championship, or will perennial rivals like Billy Northcutt, William Hargraves, or J.R. Shepard be able to dethrone the current king of the dirt? Or will it be a new face to the series that makes a splash and ultimately a championship run? Well, we won't have long to wait to get some of those answers because we're getting ready to bring you the action here at Eldora Speedway. Welcome everyone to the first race of Season 9 for the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. My name is DJ Clark, and on behalf of the Virtual Grip Network and my partner here in the booth, Kenny Kibbe, as well as the rest of those behind the scenes, we'd like to welcome you here to Eldora. Now, this is a track that we're used to seeing in this series, Kenny, but it always seems to present a little bit of a challenge to our drivers.
It really does, DJ. You know, this track is a track full of opportunity, but full of risk as well. You know, it's a half-mile track, opened in 1954, owned by Tony Stewart. 24 degrees of banking, but it's kind of a D-shaped circuit. So you notice the front stretch is very straight, the back stretch not so much, and that can present some challenges coming around this place. But of course, everybody knows this place from being host to a bunch of truck races in the mid-2010s, and a new surface will be added to this track for the next year in real life. But yeah, this is a wide open track, multi-lane racing, but we'll see how this one goes.
Well, we are all very excited to get it going, but before we do, we want to thank tonight's sponsor for the event, and that is Gargamel's Kitchen. Gargamel's Kitchen is a food-grade nitrous oxide provider located in Denver, Colorado, and a proud sponsor of the Bootleg Racing League. Visit their office at 2045 South Valentia Street, or give them a call at 720-707-6178. Well, drivers are currently out on track for practice right now, but let's give you a quick rundown of last year's championship standings. As we said, Brandon Proudfoot able to maintain on top of that, holding off a charging Billy Northcutt for that championship. It came down to the wire there for those drivers. But the race out here tonight, it's a clean slate. Nothing from that's going to carry over. And Kenny, why don't you run through our viewers what the format for tonight's race will be?
Sure thing, DJ. So we'll start out with heat races after our warm-up here, which is 20 minutes. It'll be a 6-lap heat race with 6 cars each. 2 will transfer, and the order of the heats, the starting grid of them, is taken from the qualifying time straight up, not invert, done there. And then the top 2 again will advance to the feature automatically, and the rest will go to the B main, which is 8 laps. And then they will take an 18-car field into the feature race, which is going to be 40 laps tonight. And a lot of times there isn't more than 18 cars that make it or that show up, so generally all cars will make the field, but more recently we have seen a slightly larger field, so someone could go home. Also, track state starts at 0%, will carry throughout the event, so progressively the track will get more worn in as the night goes on. Points are scored in the qualifying heats, B main, and feature, depending on how well you do. And cautions in the feature are only green laps will count in the feature. Also, single file restarts with 10 laps to go or less, kind of an old school NASCAR kind of feel.
Indeed it is, and the single file restarts will throw up a little bit of a change, but let's bring you to the action on track. And as Kenny, as you said, drivers right now out there in that practice, to the surprise of nobody, Brandon Proudfoot putting in some good times. He's currently second right now. Johnny Ratley, a relatively new face here to the series, is on top of the charts, but only by about 24 thousandths of a second. There's a view of Brandon trying a little bit of a low line here at Eldora.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing him try that low line, because I believe that the track's line is going to progressively go up towards the wall, like you see him doing right now up at the top. But, you know, really, a race-winning move could come from the bottom, because everybody's going to want to run that top. If you can make the bottom work make a late slide job move, something like that, could win you the race tonight.
Very well could, and one of the things that has made Proudfoot so utterly dominant around these parts is his ability to read that track. You see him there working a little bit on Jason Menda. Menda currently back in 7th place position. As this track continues to rubber in, though, we'll see that cushion start to develop up on the top line, as well as maybe some grooving in down on the bottom. But as we said, the rest of the drivers up near the top of the field, not really a surprise to see him up there. Billy Northcutt right behind Proudfoot, and an old friend coming back to run some dirt, Steven Speeds. It's good to see him back on the dirt side of things. Chris Davis there rounding out your top 5 in this early practice session.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with seeing the new face Johnny Ratley straight up to the top of the board. Now, one thing to note in these practices, since the track state starts at 0 and it's just going to progressively get worse and worse as it goes, if a guy comes into the practice, with a brand new track, he can set that fast time. Not necessarily indicative of what the race will show. If you can run out here late in the practice, run some fast laps, that might be more indicative of your race pace.
It's a very good point, Kenny, and we've seen that a lot for Brandon Proudfoot. I know he has on a couple of times not looked as strong during the practice sessions, but then come out and run an absolute stomping race around here. So he'll be one to keep an eye out for. I think some of the other ones there that are running a little bit of non-representative times, J.R. Shepard down in 14th, not exactly where we're used to seeing him play. I'd also expect to see I'm a little surprised to see John Wilson as low as he is. Wilson's been putting in some very, very good times as of recent. That's Austin Smith in the 86, running a little bit of a middle line, just kind of probably doing some testing out there, like you said, Kenny.
One thing to note, too, is that, some of these guys are far down the field, but look at how closely they are, in the standings. You got Austin Smith with a 19.4 flat all the way down to J.R. Shepard running a 4:59, and that's about 7 cars worth, all in, half a tenth. So it's a very close field, especially in the middle of the pack.
Yes, it is. And, these dirt tracks, it is those sort of millimeter differences as they run around here. Right on board with Austin Smith as he comes down the straight part of the straightaways here. Kenny, you talked about that curving, almost D-oval back straight. How does that sort of change your approach in this when you're behind the seat of the car? Or do you have to approach that backstretch any differently?
For sure. Mainly it really comes into play if you run the high line into 1 and 2, because really it almost has a narrowing up effect on the backstretch. That turn really kind of, even though it's curved all the way around, it kind of narrows up as you get around out of turn 1 and 2. Whereas like 3 and 4 is more of a sweeping corner that just has a more defined tangent. But you'll see as we look at Chris Davis coming around turn 3 and 4, very sweeping corner. But you'll see guys really stack up and sometimes slam into that outside wall, going into 1 and 2 like we're seeing there, and then coming out if they're running too high right there, just as you see Chris Davis doing the same thing.
And a view there of Chris Davis in the bottom of your screen, running some VR around here. Always like to see that from drivers, get a real sense of how they've got to look into the corner. And I also love how Chris is giving us that sort of iRacer's lean. Obviously no G-forces in these simulators, but the drivers, as they want to get into that corner, you can just kind of throw your body into it. Helps you, may not make you go a little bit faster, but it certainly makes you feel like you're going faster.
I don't know why, but for whatever reason, I am guilty of the same thing on the dirt side. I do not lean when I'm in the pavement cars, but I do it all the time in the dirt stuff. It's almost like you're trying to will the car to do what you want it to do. It's an odd phenomenon, but it's very common.
It is indeed. And here is John Wilson, the 75. Some great things out of him in that last end of Season 8. I believe he actually got himself his first heat race win, was doing very, very well. So he's a name that I have my eye on there. Is Jason Menda able to set a faster time out last time by? A little bit surprising with the track conditions starting to wear in, as you had previously alluded to there, Kenny. But I guess there's still some speed to be had around here at Eldora.
For sure, you know, guys, I like what I'm seeing out of a lot of these guys. They're experimenting with the lines. They'll run low one lap, they'll run high the next lap, run the middle in the lap after that. And going back to John Wilson, you know, he's really riding on a high and has a lot of momentum coming into the season, and also had a really good run in the dirt shootout. Sure, it was in a different car than these street stocks, but hey, a good result is a good result, and you'll take it any way you can find it. And he's for sure on the uptick.
He most certainly is, but that is our practice session done, and now it is time for the 5-minute solo qualifying session around here. All of these drivers will get 4 laps to set their fastest time, as you said earlier, Kenny. And what do you think they're going to be running? What's going to be the fastest lane out here at this point as we watch Chris Davis make his way out?
I personally think that the higher line is probably going to be the faster line. You'll at least see guys like this on their warm-up definitely running the high line to get the good momentum off the turn 3 and 4 to start their lap. Remember, you got 4 laps to try to put down a fast one, so you can experiment. You just like in practice, you can run different lines. One thing though, if you're going to run that high line, you can't touch the wall or else it'll discount your lap, no matter how light of a tap it may be.
Very good point there, as we're seeing Seneca, Davis, and Wilson all out on track right now, waiting to see who's going to get that fastest time. It's going to be Chris Davis to the top of the charts immediately, but he's going to be pipped by John Wilson. Jason Menda now working his way up top, so times are starting to come in. There's Steven Spies coming in, but very, very close as these times continue to roll by.
Can't even keep up with the fast times. They just keep dominoing over top of each other as Chris Davis, P2 with a 19.388. It looks like he's slowing down after the second lap.
A little bit strange there out of Crest, but let's not question somebody who's been good. Kevin Moody looking like he was in for a good time there. Seneca down. Looks like Wilson is down as well. Jason Best getting ready to set a good time there, it looks like, for him. Seeing a trend that we've seen a lot of times out here, the drivers setting their fastest lap and then not being able to improve. Billy Northcutt, though, out on track. He's one to watch for, as is Brandon Proudfoot. Oh, as Johnny Ratley bumps his way up to the top of the charts. This is Northcutt on your screen right now. Let's see what the bridesmaid of last season has in store for us here as he gets ready to cross over the line. Can he go to the top? No, it's only third best for Billy Northcutt, so he's going to call it a stop there, maybe come out and do some laps later. J.R. Shepard there on your screen, coming out a little bit slowly. Looks like that is Jason Mendes slow as well. Steven Spies coming to a halt.
Yeah, definitely some hard hitters left to go yet. You have Brandon Proudfoot, Bobby Hayes, J.R. Shepard, all definitely capable of that fast lap time as we look at Brandon Proudfoot right now, coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, this is where I'd be a little bit scared if I was the rest of the field watching Brandon Proudfoot come around here. Look how close he is up to that wall. That signature driving style that we've come to expect out of Proudfoot, only one-handed. Let's see where that's going to put him as he starts his flying lap right there. J.R. Shepard bumping his way up into P2, moving Steven Spies down into third. Here comes Proudfoot, though. He's purple through the first sector, driving down the low line. He lets the car slide on up. Is this going to be good enough to take pole? It is! Brandon Proudfoot on top by 46 thousandths of a second.
And look what he did, too. He ran a different line than just about everybody. You see J.R. Shepard running the higher to middle line. Brandon Proudfoot able to make the shorter distance around the track work. Apparently, the shorter distance trumps the momentum from the top side, at least if you have the finesse that Brandon Proudfoot has.
Certainly, and finesse is Brandon's middle name, it seems like, as Proudfoot again tracking purple in that first sector. We watch Chris Davis, though, trying to improve on his 6th place best time right now. Goes down for that Proudfoot low line. He's not going to be able to go any faster. Proudfoot not able to go any faster there as well, as he was not able to improve on that last lap. It looks like Chris Davis improved a little bit, but not enough to move him up the charts whatsoever. Johnny Ratley looking a little bit interesting here. Does Ratley have something for Proudfoot? No, he does not. So Proudfoot stays up on top.
Looks like Ratley's on his final lap right now. We could see if he has a chance to improve his time. I doubt it'll happen. Coming off of turn 4. Yeah, looks like You'll get a 19,242. No, that's what Brandon got. That's what the pole time is, a 242. 259 for Johnny Ratley. Still very respectable. Only 2 drivers getting into the 19.2s.
Yeah, very, very good time for him to work his way around here. Billy Northcutt seeing if he's got anything else left in the tank. Although I think he may be done and dusted in terms of times. A little bit surprising to see Billy all the way down in 5th right now. But this is a track where you can get a little bit of passing done. So he may not be out of the woods quite yet. Once we get to the heat races, only about 5 seconds to go here in qualifying, Kenny. And then we're ready to go heat racing.
I'm looking forward to it. This should be exciting, and this is important for guys, especially like a Billy Northcutt, who didn't have a great qualifying effort per se.
It is indeed, and we're ready to get fired up here for the first heat race of Season 9 in the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. And leading it off, to the surprise of no one, will be Brandon Proudfoot in that signature 22 Jim Beaver Esports machine. Behind him will be Steven Spies and Jason Menda in 3rd.
Starting P4 will be Kevin Moody, followed by Stacy Hunter in 5th place, and then Bobby Hayes in the Fistful of Water car in P6.
Indeed they are. So as they head out on track here, remember the lead driver does have lane choice. So it'll be interesting to see what Proudfoot decides to do. We've seen that high line be pretty dominant, but he may lose a little bit of grip up on the high side. So he'll make that decision as they come to the line this time by.
Yeah, this will be really interesting. A heat race is kind of a time where you could experiment. If you're a guy like Brandon, maybe take some notes for a restart in the feature. But looks like he's going to stay on the bottom side, at least for now. Yeah, I think he's going to keep going with that route that he used, the line that he used in qualifying, because it obviously worked pretty well.
Yeah, so he'll stick down low. That'll be Spies to his outside. Below them, it'll be Menda, Moody, Hunter, and Hayes as we read through. And all eyes now beginning to focus on Brandon Proudfoot. There you can see him getting ready to start off in that 22 Fistful of Bourbon machine for Jim Beaver Esports. iRacing pace truck pulls in, and Proudfoot is immediately on the loud pedal. It's a good start from him. Menda trying to keep up in 3rd. Steven Spies going on a mid-line there. Menda looking a little bit challenging, but Brandon Proudfoot, the clear leader here.
Nearly 3 wide back in 4th, 5th, and 6th place as we dive down into turn 3. Jason Menda looking underneath of Steven Spies. I'm really impressed with Jason's early speed here as we complete lap 1.
Oh, and Steven Spies looking a little bit racy there as Brandon Proudfoot moves up to that high line. Spies trying to challenge him on the low line. He's going to draw alongside, but momentum will carry Brandon Proudfoot down into turn 3. Spies continues to try to duck a little bit low. There you can see the sun setting a little bit as they continue around. Spies trying on that low line. We ride on board with Kevin Moody as Moody tries to make a little bit of a move on Jason Menda. They come across the line. Spies almost gets a nose ahead on the exit of turn 2, but Brandon Proudfoot's momentum carries him around.
Steven Spies not giving up on that low line, but now he just settles in. He does settle in right behind Brandon Proudfoot. I'm curious to see if he's going to try any kind of slide jobs. He does dive down to the bottom, but he's going to try to just ride the low line as we come off of turn 2 with Jason Menda right on his tail.
Well, I remember in the past Steven talking about how he wasn't a big fan of just riding that high line, so clearly the 55 trying some new things around here as they come across the line there to complete lap 5, working their way around. Only 2 more laps to go, a lap and a half here at this point. Our leaders are side by side. Spies not letting this one die easy, Kenny.
A little bit of contact coming out of turn 2 really hurt Brandon Proudfoot's momentum, and look at Steven really digging to make that low line work as we come to the white flag. Diving down into turn 1 is Steven. Is he going to go for the slide job? No, he keeps it on the bottom.
Keeps it on the bottom. Didn't want to completely run up on Brandon Proudfoot, but here they're going to come to the line. Proudfoot making a little bit of contact with the wall. There's that slide job we talked about. Steven Spies working his way into the lead. Proudfoot tries for a little bit of cutover. He's going to cross the line just barely in front of Steven Spies to take the victory here in Heat 1. That makes the finishing order of Proudfoot and Spies advancing on. Everyone else is going to have to go back to the B main, but holy moly, Kenny, that's how we start things off.
Yeah, I was just about to say, how do you follow that one up? That was quite a show really nice to see that there's still 2 lanes in this racetrack where people can make moves on the top or the bottom as we get ready for heat number 2.
Indeed, we do. And in heat number 2, it's going to be Johnny Ratley and the other big name around these dirt parts. The Dirt Panda Racing team, Billy Northcutt, his teammate, will be starting to his outside. And behind him, it'll be Austin Smith in third.
Starting 4th place is the California Sim Club driver Jeffrey Harden, followed by fellow Michigander of mine, Ryan Seneker.
All right, well, Kenny, we've had one heat race in the books here. What did you learn? What are you thinking?
I'm learning that this track is quite racy tonight. Guys are not going right up to the high line and only running that line, at least yet. And you can be side by side through the corners and, make some passes. It's been exciting so far. Hopefully the second heat is just as.
I couldn't agree with you more. As we get ready to get fired up here, it looks like Johnny Ratley also choosing to start on that low line. So drivers looking like the high line's the way they like to drive it, but that they want to start on the low line, just try to get a little bit of an advantage. This is Ratley here really backing up the field away from the iRacing pace truck. That is his prerogative to do so. So nothing bad there. Waiting for the pace truck to pull in here, and pull in it does. And Ratley already on the loud pedal. Here they come for heat 2. That's a great start for Johnny Ratley there. Well out ahead of his teammate Billy Northcutt. That's going to be Austin Smith trying to shuffle in behind. A little bit of a battle there in 4th place between Seneker and Harden.
Yeah, already single file other than place 4 and 5 as we dive down into turn 3 and 4 and come out of it for the completion of lap 1. Looks like Johnny Ratley's got a firm hold onto this race over his teammate as the 3rd place driver, Austin Smith, gets a little bit of contact into the wall. And we have a little bit of a connection issue as well for one of the drivers.
Yeah, I believe that is the 36 of Jeffrey Harden. He was gone there for about half of a lap. But as you said, Johnny Ratley out front and in a league of his own at this point. As his teammate Billy Northcutt making a little bit of contact with the wall. Despite having those connection issues, though, Jeffrey Harden putting up a good little battle here on Austin Smith for P3.
Yep, running that low line, trying to sneak into as much grip as he possibly can. Getting a little bit tight off of the corner. Austin Smith holding on tight on the outside line. And Ryan Seneker sticking his nose into the mix as well as the 2 leaders continue to pull away.
Yeah, the Dirt Panda teammates really off into their own distance here as they get ready to cross the line here for 2 laps to go. This little trio in the back putting up a good little fight. That looked like Seneker maybe making a little bit of contact with Harden as they came across the start-finish line. Seneker trying to carry momentum on the high side. Smith holding it down right now, able to carry the best line on the high side. Leaders coming out of turn 4 right now to take the white flag. We've got our eyes focused here. That's Harden going super low. There's Billy Northcutt. White flag is out. I don't think he's got enough to catch Johnny Ratley, but you never know.
Went out of turn 2 for the final time, and these guys back here, they won't advance out of this heat, but Harden trying to improve his starting spot in the consolation race as we come out of turn 3 and 4. Johnny Ratley will be victorious. Billy Northcutt gets second. Austin Smith holds on for 3rd place ahead of Jeffrey Harden and Ryan Seneker.
All right, so we're in that first heat race. We saw a little bit of swapping over in that. Johnny Ratley able to just drive away with it. But we'll have to see if that sticks true here in this 3rd heat race that we are ready to grid up for. This is the 3rd and final heat. J.R. Shepard going to be starting off in the pole in this one, followed by Chris Davis and John Wilson behind him.
Starting 4th and 5th in this final heat are Jason Best and Stephen Hilbert.
All right, so some more familiar faces here in this. Shepard and Davis, certainly no stranger to this series, as with John Wilson. Jason Best, another familiar face as well. Looked like it was a little bit more calm in that last race there, Kenny. Not many nearly as aggressive moves as we were seeing in the first heat.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the racing's going to get a little more spread out as we get going here. If we get into a long green flag run in the feature, I expect it to get decently spread out. Also, kind of depends on the pace of the guys in front and the pace of the guys in the back. That first heat was definitely stacked, which led to a really packed up race. we'll see what this last heat brings us here with JR and Chris Davis on the front row. These guys are pretty darn even on the track, and John Wilson's no slouch as well. We'll see what will happen here in the final heat.
Exactly, and as we get ready to go green, J.R. Shepard sticking with the trend, staying down on that low line. Chris Davis to his outside. These two veterans along with John Wilson and Jason Best. We'll have to see what they have. iRacing pace truck pulls aside, waiting for Shepard, and there he goes. It's a very good start for J.R. Shepard. I think he caught Chris Davis sleeping there a little bit. You saw the grimace there almost out of his face. Some connection issues for Shepard. Wilson on a very good low line. He's now going to be parallel with Chris Davis. Momentum carrying Davis to the outside.
Great jump by John Wilson following J.R. Shepard, and John's got a chance to maybe clear Chris if he can go up the track. He stays down low in the lower line. He's going to stay committed to the bottom, and JR is loving this as he can run away as we come down the backstretch for the second time. Nearly 3 wide going down the backstretch.
And look at that diamond off the corner for Chris Davis. He was just able to get those rear tires to bite and sling it out of turn 2. And again, there goes the momentum for the number 7. He is clearly all the way ahead as they dive into turn 1. Now it's looking like it's a little bit of a battle there in the back between Wilson and Best, but Davis re-securing that second place position quite well. Again, you can see him there on the corner of your screen with that iRacer's lean as Best and Wilson really duking it out here for third place.
Look at that, 3 different drivers, 3 different lines, and then the next corner they all run a different line again. It's wonderful to see this at Eldora Speedway tonight. I'm so excited to keep watching these races. As we go down into turn 3, John Wilson now is kind of filed in, but he's not satisfied, trying to grab that second spot from Chris Davis, but also dealing with the pressure from Jason Best, who we ride on the grill of down into turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, Jason Best looked like he carried a lot of momentum into turn 3 last time around. Almost had to check himself up not to get into the back of that 75 machine. And there they go now into turn 3 once again. Davis and Best up on the high line. Wilson and Shepard low. They're going to stay single file as they cross the start-finish line for 1 lap to go. John Wilson starting to try to threaten Chris Davis again, but I think that momentum is going to work in Chris Davis's favor. They go in again. Davis dives down to the low line, trying to be a little bit protective, I think, there. Not enough to get by J.R. Shepard, but it's enough to secure him that second place position, so that's going to be Shepard and Davis advancing. Wilson, Best, and Hilbert will be running in the B main.
That was another really good race, very even throughout the field and multiple lanes. Again, like to see that as J.R. Shepard wins, Chris Davis second, John Wilson third, Jason Best fourth, and Stephen Hilbert fifth.
And that, Kenny, is now going to get us set up for our B main. Now, as we only have 16 drivers out here today, all 10 of these machines will make it into the A main. This is just to determine their starting order. Starting off in the pole of this B main, it will be Jason Menda, followed by Austin Smith. John Wilson will line up behind them in third, followed by Kevin Moody, and Jeffrey Harden rounds out your top 5.
Jason Best, who had a really good showing in his heat race, just couldn't make that bottom line quite work at the end. He starts in P6. Bobby Hayes will be in 7th. Ryan Seneker will be 8th. Stephen Hilbert 9th. And bringing up the back will be Stacy Hunter.
All right, so this is where we get to see some of these drivers really strut their stuff and maybe fight out for a little bit of a lead here. Remember, you can score points in the B main, so everybody looking for a good result here. I personally have my eyes on that 75. John Wilson looked very, very good in that heat race that we saw him in. And as you mentioned, I think Jason Best may be another one to keep an eye on as well.
Yep, Jason Best is definitely my driver to watch here. He's going to start on the high side this time. Now, he was trying to make that low end work in his heat race. Now he's going to start up top. I think it's really going to depend on how well his line gets going here at the start of this heat race.
Well, this heat race is, wow, we knew what you meant there. It's all good. But we're going to get ready to go racing whatever the race is, because the iRacing pace truck is pulling off to the inside. All eyes on Jason Menda, holds the field long, and there he gets onto the loud pedal. That's a good heads-up start from John Wilson. He's going to be down to the inside here of Austin Smith, trying to make that work. That's going to be Jason Menda working on the high line. Wilson able to get a good run. He's already up into second and starting to challenge. They're almost 3 wide in the back there, Kenny.
John Wilson again did the same thing he did in his heat race. A great jump from the 3rd starting spot as he's diving down underneath the leader, Jason Menda. I think he's going to try to make this bottom line work as Austin Smith with a shot of momentum coming off of turn 2 on the high line, as the first 3 leaders are basically by themselves now, but you're 2 by 2 behind him.
Exactly, and as Wilson starts to pull up, a little bit of maybe contact there in the back. I think that was Kevin Moody and Austin Smith just bumping fenders a little bit. And as you said, those 2 leaders running out on their own single file, but behind them, it's Ants marching 2 by 2. As that is Austin Smith trying to get a run on Jason Best. Best blocks off that entrance the best that he can. That's the 36th there, trying to dive down the inside, getting something. We've got a little bit of contact in the back. Big hit into the wall there. I believe that was Jason Best that got the clobber. Remember, no yellow flags out here until the A-main.
Oh, look at that. Jason Best, he took the contact and actually used it as an over-under to get back around Ryan Seneker. Nicely done. But that does kind of spread out the field here as we get past the halfway point in this consolation race. John Wilson still tailing behind the 45 of Jason Menda as the field spread out slightly more, but still battles to be had around the track.
We ride on board here with the Canadian driver, John Wilson, in that 75 machine. And yeah, as you said, I think a little bit of fear after that contact. Kenny, drivers know that there is not going to be a chance to recover if you get in this. There's not going to be a yellow to get yourself all back up in. And so they have got to be careful. You don't want to be starting off dead last in the A-main. There, we ride off of the side of your leader, Jason Menda. That's a great run behind him. You can see that blue machine of Jeffrey Harden. He has really sliced his way up through the field into third, running a good line. But a hornet's nest once again developing behind with Jason Best leading Austin Smith and Ryan Seneker.
Yep, just as I talked about in the practice earlier, Austin Smith got a little bit tight coming off of turn 2. A little bit of contact in 3 and 4 with him and Ryan Seneker. But when he got tight and pushed and had to check up off of turn 2, really bottled everybody up, and it's really things are stacking back up here as we go into the final lap of this consolation.
Indeed, and it is the final lap, and up front it continues to be Jason Menda as he comes out of turn 4 for the final time. John Wilson hot on his heels, but not able to do anything. The final top 3 here, Menda, Wilson, and Harden with a good charge through the field. Well, behind them, it was Best, Seneker, Smith, and Moody. A really exciting B-main there, Kenny.
Yeah, for sure. That was very unpredictable. A lot of guys changed positions. Nobody really sat and rode around in single file. That was for sure. I mean, you could see 3 lanes at least still present on the track as we approach the warm-up into the feature here. I am super excited for what the feature is going to bring.
As am I, as you see the final finishing order there from the B-main. And as you said, this is a 5-minute warm-up session, and this is especially important for some of those drivers, particularly looking at guys like Brandon Proudfoot, who haven't been out on the track in a while. They want to get a feel for it, especially as the sun is starting to set around here. It is about 8:20 virtual standard time, so that sun's starting to dip behind the stands there. It'll change the track and feeling a little bit more. Ratley up to the top right now, J.R. Shepard, Brandon Proudfoot, your top 3 as these drivers continue to head out and practice.
Yeah, you had a couple really good points there, DJ. You know, you have the track is ever changing, not just because of the cars being on track, but you have the weather changing with the sun going down. And the guys that ran in the first heat, you know, they have not, I mean, they're on a completely different track than what they ran a while ago when they ran their heat. So everybody's going to try to get a feel for things, not only for their, you know, car's balance, but get a feel for which line is quick, you know, what feels comfortable to them. But when you get into the race time and you guys are in traffic, it's not going to be necessarily about comfort. You got to make whatever line you're in work.
And Kenny, as a driver, how much are you in that moment when you may be in a line that you're a little bit uncomfortable with? Are you trying to make it work? Are you trying to get back to a line that you feel you can run? What's kind of your thought process when you get stuck down there in one of those positions?
Well, it kind of depends on the track. You know, sometimes you'll go to a place that you know is just one lane dominant, and you're like, oh, shoot, you know, I have to try my best to get to the top. But you also, you know, you got an iRacing spotter that's in your ear telling you, you know, cars nearby, and you got your mirrors and stuff. So, you know, if you know that you're stuck down there and you're going to get freight train, you have to try to make that top or that bottom line, whatever line you're in, work. But, you know, depending on if you think it's a lost cause and you got an opening behind you, sure, you might try to get back up into that dominant line.
Well, we'll have to see if any drivers get forced around there a little bit. Watching Brandon Proudfoot, again, we've kind of mentioned this a few times before. One of the most unique styles I've ever seen two dirt racing prefers to really just kind of drive one-handed around here. There he's getting two on the wheel a little bit, but yeah, that one-handed approach really seems to play out well for the 22. Right now, he is a little bit slower than Johnny Ratley, only to the tune of about 0.16 of a second, so not a whole lot there for Brandon. And this practice session, much more about feeling out the track than actually putting in some fast times.
One thing I'm seeing a few drivers starting to do is the slider line. You dive into the corner way down on the bottom, and you fly up to the top of the track, and you hope to catch grip before you slam into the outside wall. That can be the fast line around this place. I've seen Billy Northcutt do it. I've seen Brandon Proudfoot do it. Not only is it a way to make passes, but sometimes when you're by yourself, it's actually the fastest way around the track.
It is indeed, but correct me if I'm wrong, it also requires a lot of faith from the drivers you are racing against, Kenny.
It does. I mean, you got to know that you're clear if you're going to try to make that pass. You got to know that you're clear, slide up in front, and hope that the guy behind you doesn't slam into you. Yeah, I mean, guys could get more aggressive with that as the race goes on, but guys in the Bootleg Racing League also race with a lot of respect on top of that. So we'll see. I mean, this is shown to be a multi-lane track, so the sliders may not be needed quite as much as at other places.
Well, how much of that, Kenny, is a little bit of, let's call it, offensive defense, trying to prevent the other car from being able to run their preferred line when you're doing that slide job?
Yeah, I mean, these races are really about track position. I mean, the races are relatively short, and if this track does turn into a top-line dominant track, the passing is going to get harder. So, your position is going to be so valuable because it's going to be so hard to get back if you lose it. So, I guess it depends on if these guys think, oh, yeah, I can give that one away, I can get it back. But most likely they're not. They're going to be going for broke from the beginning. So, yeah, you're going to be very aggressive in trying to defend your line and making it uncomfortable for the guys behind you.
Well, speaking of running that line and being a little bit uncomfortable, we are done here with practice, and it's time to put these drivers into the hot seat. That's right, we are ready to go racing here at Eldora for the A-Main in Season 9 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. Starting off in the pole position, it will be Brandon Proudfoot, followed by Johnny Ratley. J.R. Shepard will line up behind him with Steven Spies in fourth. Billy Northcutt will be fifth, followed by Chris Davis and Jason Menda and John Wilson lining up behind them. Jeffrey Harden will be ninth, followed by Jason Best in 10th.
Following the top 10 will be Ryan Seneker in 11th, and Austin Smith will be in 12th place, followed by Kevin Moody and Bobby Hayes in 13th and 14th place. And then we will have Stacy Hunter and Stephen Hilbert bring up the rear of the pack for the 16-car field in tonight's season opener.
Well, Kenny, drivers are heading out on track. We'll have to see what lane Brandon Proudfoot goes to pick here. Looks like he's going to go up to the high line. But I got to ask the question, who do you have your eye on?
Well, I mean, Johnny Ratley's obviously really stood out to me, being a relative newcomer to the league, but we know he's really fast, being Billy Northcutt's teammate. I got my eye on him. Steven Spies, though, he had a really... he gave Brandon Proudfoot a heck of a fight in Heat 1. He's made a really nice return this week. So those are just a few of the many that I'll be keeping my eye on.
Yeah, I got to agree with you on those two, and you stole mine from Steven Spies, but I also have my eyes on Billy Northcutt. I think he's going to have a little bit of fire under his collar, just missing out on the championship last year. I also think Chris Davis may be one to watch in that little bit of a different liveried pink and black machine. Not seeing the normal yellow on it. But colors aside, the only color we're waiting for is green, and there it is! Brandon Proudfoot onto the loud pedal here at Eldora. He's able to get a good jump a little bit on Johnny Ratley. That's going to be Steven Spies trying to challenge to the outside. They're almost three wide as they go through turn one. Spies trying to carry momentum on Ratley. J.R. Shepard down to the inside is going to slot into fourth place right now. Chris Davis starting to challenge J.R. Shepard, though, in that fourth place position.
Three wide battle for fourth place, maybe even four wide coming off of turn four. Billy Northcutt trying to make the very bottom work. J.R. Shepard stuck in the middle. Chris Davis up top. It's a 3-wide battle for 4th, and a group of guys battling as well behind them.
Yeah, it looks like Best and Menda there starting to fight out a little bit. John Wilson trying to get interested. There is Chris Davis on your screen. Wow! J.R. Shepard getting a little bit too sideways coming out of turn 4. I think that's going to give a little bit of a momentum up to Chris Davis. He gets a little bit friendly with the wall, but he's still able to carry momentum out of turn 2. He is now a full car length ahead as we jump back up to Johnny Ratley, who has stayed right on the fender here of Brandon Proudfoot.
The top 3 leaders are kind of starting to pull away from the groups that are battling behind them as Ratley's really looking up at the top, really getting a decent run off of turn 2, but remember it gets tight. You don't want to smack into that wall coming off of turn 2, but he's right on the bumper as they enter turn 3. Steven Spees not far behind.
No, Spees is back in what we like to call the popcorn position, just sitting back and waiting, but we're checking back in on that battle for P4 right now. This is Davis and Shepard. They've dropped Billy Northcutt a little bit, who is being challenged by John Wilson right now for 6th. Thought he was going to have a move there, and there comes Jason Best up behind John Wilson. So every time you think one battle has subsided, it just bleeds into another one here. Billy Northcutt on your screen trying to make a little bit of a move there, focusing back in on our leaders, though, as this is Brandon Proudfoot and Johnny Ratley continuing their way around here. Eldora, 6 laps in the books.
Well, we have a caution on the Speedway.
Looks like it's Jason Menda. Here's a replay of it. Kenny Menda in that 45 machine gets up. Ooh, tags up there with Jason Best, and Menda gets spun around down to the inside. I think he's able to avoid damage there, but that spin will cause the yellow to wave for the first time.
And that's kind of a product of a track where you're running the high line. You know, a guy in front of you, you're on the tail of a guy in front of you, and he goes up and hits the wall a little too much and checks you up. Sometimes there's just nowhere to go, and that's that was the situation Jason was in, because Jason Best got up into over on top of the wall, and Jason just had nowhere to go, and really made a nice move to spin out of the way. Didn't hit anything. He'll be able to continue, and we'll have to drop lose some spots here, but he'll stay in the race at least.
Yeah, they are indeed, as we now get ready to re-rack here at Eldora. That is Brandon Proudfoot again in your lead, the top 2 unchanged. Spees able to get a good jump and gun into 3rd. Davis up 2 positions. J.R. Shepard down 2 as they stand right now, but the lights on the iRacing pace truck are off as this field gets ready to regrid. Brandon Proudfoot again choosing to go up on that high line. That's going to be Johnny Ratley to his inside. He's going to be made sure he doesn't get caught napping like he did off that first start. Waiting here for that pace truck to pull on in. And there it goes. Eyes to Brandon Proudfoot now again gets on the lap pedal pretty early, but Johnny Ratley not caught napping at all. He's going to be right upside. Brandon Proudfoot now slides back in. Steven Spees is going to go down to the inside, trying to make a little bit of a slide job work, but that's not going to happen. And he's going to be forced to check up a little bit. That's going to allow for Chris Davis to get up to his outside. J.R. Shepard and Billy Northcutt going 2 by 2 beside him as well. There goes Spees again, finding a little bit of moist dirt on the middle of this wide track there. Tries to keep ahead of Chris Davis, banging doors as they cross the start-finish line.
Radley did a really nice job to slide in line. Ooh, more contact there. Steven Spees up into the wall, and we're going to be 3 wide down the back stretch, and maybe more contact with J.R. Shepard and Chris Davis. Chris Davis slides up. Steven Spees will undercut him. Beautiful move. Oh, and more contact with J.R. Shepard. A crazy lap number 8.
Yeah, it is indeed. I think there was a little bit of incidental contact there with J.R. Spees just getting a little bit loose, but it really cost J.R. Shepard some momentum. You can see him falling back through the field, but we've got to keep our eyes focused on this battle for the final step of the podium. This is Spees and Chris Davis. Davis down to the inside, trying to find something. Nice little slider there to get in front of Billy Northcutt, prevent any momentum there from happening, as that battle now starts to continue to rage. Ooh, Northcutt up into the wall a little bit, has to catch the car. That's going to cost him some tenths.
Jason Best is fighting for nearly a top 5 spot as he started 10th tonight, and he's making it work on the top side, battling with J.R. Shepard here, and they're basically the cork in the bottle at the moment as they're 2 by 2 behind them, as the rest of the leaders have kind of single filed out as Billy Northcutt hits the wall off turn 2 again.
Yeah, we're seeing quite a bit of that. Jason Best, your biggest mover of the race thus far, as you said, up 4 positions, but he may drop down a little bit. JR getting very, very friendly. Oh, big blink there from JR. We need to jump back and check in on our leaders, though. Johnny Ratley continuing to exhibit a massive amount of patience here, just hounding behind Brandon Proudfoot, not going for a too over-aggressive of an attack. I'm getting the sense here, Kenny, that he is just waiting for an opportunity to strike.
Yeah, Johnny Ratley's he's focusing on just trying to be consistent right now and, tailing onto these guys. And as they run away from this hornet's nest towards the back part of the top 10, we're 3 wide down into turn 3. Jason Menda down on the bottom. Bobby Hayes kind of slides up in front of Jeffrey Harden here. And it looks like we'll survive one more lap.
I think survive is the operative phrase there, Kenny. Very, very fierce. Again, checking back in on our leaders. Johnny Ratley just right behind Proudfoot. Is this a little bit of an issue of one of the young guns here learning from the master?
I think this high line is really starting to come into play. I think it's definitely a high line dominant track at this stage of the race, and a little bit of a gap now being formed by Brandon Proudfoot, so maybe a little bit of pace being lacking from Johnny Ratley, or maybe he's going to think about trying a slide job later in the race when maybe he thinks Brandon Proudfoot will not be able to offer a rebuttal.
Well, speaking of slide job, we're trying to run a different line. We ride out of the grill of J.R. Shepard. There he is in a very tight battle with Jason Best right ahead of them. Shepard tried to dive down to the inside on that last lap, and it didn't really work out for him. Ooh, interesting there out of Best. Trying to go with a little bit of a cut down there. Oh, trying to go for a crossover there was J.R. Shepard. Now he's going to send it down to the inside. Is that going to be enough to get a slide job for the 98 done? No, he's got to check himself up a little bit on the exit of turn 2. That cost him a little bit of momentum, but he's certainly still within striking distance.
Didn't quite have the momentum enough to clear down into turn 1 and 2. Needs a little bit better of a run next time to make that work. So we look back here at Ryan Seneker running the high line.
Yeah, that's Seneker up on the high line, running next to the 17 of Stacy Hunter. They are just trying to make that work. You can see Stacy getting a little bit squirrely coming off the corner, doing a good job to run low, though, it has to be said.
Good battle here just outside the top 10. We got Jason Menda up in the top lane. Bobby Hayes up in front of him. It's basically a 4 to 5 car battle. These guys keep swapping positions. Good run by Bobby Hayes off of turn 2 as he'll get next to John Wilson. Diving into turn 3 again. These guys are still 2 by 2 and will not leave each other alone.
No, they will not. Wilson trying to hold on the best he can, but there goes Bobby Hayes using that high line to his advantage. Wilson trying to send it down in for a slider or at least a low line move, and that's not going to happen. Car getting sideways on the exit as we ride on board here with the 45 of Jason Menda. He's going to try to carry some momentum up along the high sign. There is that tire view right now. Wow! Very close up ahead between Harden and Wilson. Not really sure how they didn't come together. Big ka-thunk into the wall, though, there for Jason Menda.
Yeah, things are starting to get claustrophobic here for the top 10 spots. Jason Menda diving into the middle lane there. Jeffrey Harden making the bottom work. These guys are still trying other lines despite the high line obviously being dominant for the guys up front. These guys getting creative. Bobby Hayes smacks the wall into turn 1, but he keeps it going, has the momentum on the high side. As, again, Jason Menda making it 3 wide down into turn 3.
That got a little bit spicy there between Harden and Menda, but we check back in on our leaders here as they get halfway through lap 23 here at Eldora. Ratley still holding on close behind of Brandon Proudfoot, but it looks like that gap is just slowly but surely starting to slip away from the Dirt Panda racing driver.
Yeah, it really is giving me the feel that, if Ratley's perfect, he can hang even with Proudfoot, but if he makes one little mistake, he starts to lose just a little bit of ground every single lap, and the gap's been pretty stagnant, but is definitely not shrinking at the moment, and we're quickly approaching the end of the race here. Oh, however, a good gain there by Ratley into turn 1 as we have contact further back in the field coming across the stripe.
Yeah, it's in that big old battle we've been keeping our eyes on. That is Austin Smith there right in the center of your screen. Bobby Hayes leading him. Wilson and Harden trying to make it work. Harden trying to run in the middle of no man's land there and getting very, very sideways as they went around. Wilson able to hold off. Ooh, that was Bobby Hayes hard up into the wall by the timing stand.
Austin Smith will dive below John Wilson, can't make it work. He's a little bit too sideways off of turn 2. And again, it's like we're 2x2 every single lap, but it's a different arrangement every single time. You got these guys running high and low in different positions, and they're still going at it.
They are, and this is one of the reasons we love to keep our eye on dirt racing. You never know what can happen. John Wilson getting very friendly with the wall there. Now it looks like Hardin's going to try to have a little bit of a run on Austin Smith. We ride on board with Jason Menda, who's got a bird's eye view of the entire situation, trying to close in on Bobby Hayes. We are on lap 28 here at Eldora. Only 12 laps to go. Oh, Menda with the big kathunk. He's going to have to try to keep going. Didn't lose too much speed from that run-in, though.
Battle for the lead is still stagnant at about 0.4 of a second, and the P3 is all the way to 2 seconds behind these guys. So it's kind of a one-on-one battle here unless we get a caution. And you can see Ratley's starting to get a little more creative, trying to run slightly lower than Brandon, see if he can just make anything happen as they both run the high line, and they're actually starting to approach some lap cars here.
And that lap traffic could pose a little bit of a problem. Up ahead, that's Stephen Hilbert, Stacy Hunter, and Ryan Seneker. Now, drivers are very considerate, and as you've said, there's a lot of sportsmanship here in the Bootleg Racing League, so I don't envision that being too much of a problem, but just a little bit of incidental getting by can always be a little bit of a problem. We ride on board with your leader here, Brandon Proudfoot. We are under 10 laps to go, Kenny, and that does mean that, God forbid, if we get a yellow, that means it'll be a single-file restart.
Stephen Hilbert slides up a little bit, but then lets the leaders go back by. As we look again at Jeffrey Hardin battling on the bottom side yet again with Jason Menda and Bobby Hayes. These are definitely the closest battles on the track at the moment.
Yeah, this mid-pack battle continues to excite there. Austin Smith trying to get a little bit by John Williams, but that is side by side for Menda and for Hardin. Hardin down to the low side. Hayes right ahead of them, trying to hold it off the best he can. It looks like Menda's going to be able to carry the momentum around the outside, and indeed he does. But Hardin not letting that go away. He's going to try for it, but it just looks like he's losing out. That low line becoming harder and harder to run, and indeed Hardin going to jump back up to the high line.
Yeah, I think we've gotten to the point now where the track's worn in enough to really lend itself to being a highline only track at this point. You do have guys trying some sliders though. We have a nice one-on-one battle going here between Chris Davis and Billy Northcutt, and this is for a top 5 spot for P4 at the moment.
Yeah, so very important to try to get this for points as the series goes along. As you said, riding on board with Billy Northcutt. Ooh, looks like he's going to try to the inside of Chris Davis here. He's going to try that low line. Let's see how it works out for the 00.
Textbook slide job right there from Billy Northcutt. We'll see Chris Davis try to do the undercut. He'll probably try to slide him right on back. Going into turn 1, he does. This is going to be a good battle from these guys to the end. As Billy Northcutt's going to undercut him, and these guys will keep trading spots.
This is what you love to see out of dirt racing, and there Northcutt trying to get a little bit wily there. You saw a little bit of the cutoff there as he's now going to ride wide. They're going to be side by side as they cross over, but advantage Billy Northcutt here for right now. Chris Davis trying to go for that slider again into 1 and 2, but forced to check up a little bit. Chris Davis really going for it to try to get back into that 4th place position that he held there. Now they go through. No slide jobs coming through 3 and 4 as we are on lap 38 here at Eldora. Only 3 to go.
Look at the advantage that Brandon Proudfoot has opened up over Johnny Ratley. Well over a second, nearly a second and a half as we approach 2 laps to go here. Good battles going on throughout the field, but not for the lead at the moment as Brandon has showed utter dominance so far tonight.
Brandon Proudfoot just out there doing Brandon Proudfoot things. We focus back on that battle for P4. Both Davis and Northcutt getting a little bit friendly with the wall. Neither advantage shifting around here. But for your leader, Brandon Proudfoot, he crosses the start-finish line to take the white flag here at Eldora. The gap back to Johnny Ratley, still holding at about a 1.5 seconds. The battle for P4 continues to rage a little bit. Davis trying to go down to the inside one last time. He's not going to have enough to pull the slide job, but Northcutt's going to hold it. But our leader, Brandon Proudfoot, coming out of 4 to take the victory. That is a victory for Brandon Proudfoot in the 22 Jim Beaver Esports machine. First place here in the first season, the first race of season 9. going on down through the field. We've got a little bit more excitement as that is that three-way battle that we talked about there. Three wide coming to the line. Who's going to take that one away? I believe it's going to come out as Hardin Hayes Wilson.
Man, those guys did not disappoint all the way up to the checkered flag. That battle for the back end of the top 10. What a race. Great win again for Brandon Proudfoot, but a wonderful race put on by the Bootleg Racing League throughout the field.
Absolutely incredible, and we'll run you through that finishing order here. As we said, Brandon Proudfoot absolutely dominant out front, leading flag to flag over Johnny Ratley in the Dirt Panda #1 machine. Steven Spees making his return here to the dirt side of things, able to snag a podium in third, followed by Billy Northcutt and Chris Davis to round out your top 5. J.R. Shepard fell back through the field. He was in third place to start things out, but got a little bit of contact and fell down through the order. Jason Best came home in 7th, followed by Jason Menda, with Jeffrey Hardin and Bobby Hayes rounding out your top 10.
11th place goes to John Wilson, and followed by Kevin Moody, who was the last car left on the lead lap. Austin Smith in P13, Ryan Seneker 14th, Stacy Hunter in 15th, and Stephen Hilbert rounds out the field in 16th.
Oy, oy, oy. Well, you know, Kenny, if this is the way this season is going to go, I cannot wait to see where the rest of it is going to be. Obviously, Proudfoot again stamping his mark on this field, but I think the likes of Johnny Ratley certainly saying that this series ain't going to be over yet.
Yeah, I mean, Brandon was just perfect, you know, as he usually is, you know, so smooth. And just didn't make a mistake, but you know, he also had track position too, and shows how qualifying is really important in these races. But man, good luck predicting who like the back half of the top 10 is going to finish like, because that was just roulette every single lap.
Yeah, it really and truly was, and I think it goes to show a testament of just how good this mid-pack has become in the Bootleg Racing League. But we're going to talk right now with somebody who wasn't part of the mid-pack. We are going to talk with today's race winner, Brandon Proudfoot. As we bring him on here into the booth, Brandon is obviously the reigning champion of the Bootleg Racing League, an incredible driver out there, and again, taking away a dominant win today. Brandon, how was it out there?
Real tough. It was... That wall was brutal, as always it is here at Eldora, and I was giving it 100% the entire time.
Yeah, it really looked like Johnny was giving you a lot of threat there, but you were able to pull away at the end. Was that due, you think, a little bit to the traffic, or was that more of just being able to kind of exert some pressure and read the track like you're so good at doing?
Traffic, I think, played a little bit of part in helping defend the slider line a little bit there at the end if he was close enough, but it was more of a line change. Specifically in 1 and 2, there was a large accumulation of marbles there on the entry, which, as you guys seen there right before qualifying, running right up against the wall usually is where you get your speed there in turn 1 and 2, and as well as 3 and 4 once it broke down throughout the night. But where that slider line kind of came in there in the heat races, once enough marbles accumulate there, right on the entry, right against the wall, it gets really, really high embankment. And the marbles will actually build up over the slick there to the point where you almost get like a safety patch or a band-aid right there on the entry. And there on the end, that's why I was really diving it in straight into the corner and cranking it real hard, because I was going for that patch. And that's what let me pull away from Johnny. But otherwise, it was 100% wall-to-wall. Real close racing, and it was great.
I was great to watch, Brandon, and I got to tell you, one of the reasons I love talking to you is I feel like I learn more and more about dirt racing and how to read a line from you every time we chat. But, you know, obviously this season, this is another title defense for you. It's a position you are used to being in. We've talked, you and I have, about the field getting better and better and better. Do you think you're going to be able to hold on to the crown again, or is this the year that you may have to hand it off?
I'll be honest with you, it might be that year. Season rather. Past 3 seasons, we've had Billy come along, then we had William, and now we got Johnny. And no offense to Billy, no offense to William, but Johnny's got a heck of a wheel. And just like how Steven, JR, Bobby Rafferty, how all those guys can give me a run for money, when William shows up, and Billy's on his mode, it's a lot of guys up front. And as you've seen in that heat race, even with Steven, it's difficult, it's too wide racing, and it's really anybody's game. It's just about who can figure it out.
Well, I cannot wait to see the rest of the season. You know how much I love covering you guys. But Brandon, first race, first win. Anybody you got to thank for this great start to the season?
Of course, just full of bourbon. Winners get whiskey, baby. Starting off good. General Tire, Polaris RZR, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, St. Racing Fabrication, Chris Leone Motorsport Drop, Law and all the guys, Law for hosting the league, the guys that do the race reviews, and to all the drivers that are coming back for new season, as well as some newcomers here. And of course, you guys here at Virtual Grip Network for picking us up here at the Bootleg Racing League, and we're off to another season, and we'll see what's going on.
We'll see indeed, and congratulations again, Brandon. Ladies and gentlemen, that was your winner here tonight, Brandon Proudfoot. And now, Kenny, I believe you have caught up with our second place driver here tonight, and that would be Johnny Ratley.
Johnny Radley, again, he finished P2 tonight, and a nice breath of fresh air to see a new guy in the top 3 and a new guy in the league for Bootleg Racing League. Johnny, it looked like you were just missing out on a little bit to get up and get around Brandon Proudfoot. Do you think there's anything you could have done different with your line, or maybe some circumstances that could have helped you out to get that pass done?
No, I don't think so, man. This track, it gets so top dominant, like towards the end of the race, and he was taking a sooner entrance than me in 1 and 2. That's where he was getting me at most of the time. But it was just, I thought maybe I could have snuck a slider in on the beginning of the race, but I didn't want to kind of push the envelope. I was wanting to kind of, me and him check out from the guy in third place. I didn't want to start throwing sliders with him early on and have him catch us. So I was going to try to wait till late to see what I could do, but he was definitely better than me at the end of the race.
Now, later on in the race, it ran green, obviously, until the end after that early caution. Were you kind of hoping for a caution at the end to maybe try something creative and have like a re-rack-em kind of deal, or were you more in the mode of just riding it out, getting your good points, and settling in P2?
Nah, I kind of just wanted it to ride out. I didn't really want to have a caution because I knew Brandon would have took the top. And when it gets slicker and slicker like that on them starts, them first couple cautions I was down there and I was able to sneak up to the top side right when we took off. But like later in the race, when it gets slicker like that, it's harder to get some grip down there on the bottom. So I didn't want to take the chance of doing a restart, starting on the inside and having to try to get up there behind them to the outside going into 1 and 2. I would have rather just went on green like it did.
Well, you had a good run, a very good run in the first week of the season. We head off to Weed Sport in the second week of the season. How do you feel about your chances there?
Not very good because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it. I'm on like a part-time deal, I think, man, because my work schedule kind of allows me, if I can get home in time, I'll definitely make it, but I just don't know with my work schedule. I can make just about every other race, but next week is kind of up in the air for me. I hope I can make it. Weed Sport, that's kind of a tricky track. I don't really race it a lot, so I'm going to be behind the curveball a little bit. I need to put some practice in.
Well, it was a pleasure having you drive with us this week, and we hope to see you next week. Who do you have to thank for your run this week?
Yeah, man, I want to thank all my boys over there at Dirt Panda giving me this hot rod tonight. Viv's Liquor, Wild Bill's Designs. I want to thank BRL for putting this on. And it's a great league, man. A lot of clean drivers in here. Virtual Grip Network for putting us out there so everybody can see. I want to congratulate Brandon on the win, man. He was the better man tonight, and I want to congratulate Steven for the third place, man. That's it.
That was a really good run for you, Johnny, and we hope to see you next week, and congratulations on P2.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That was Johnny Ratley, our P2 driver, and DJ will catch up with our P3 driver, Steven Speeds.
Well, Steven, first and foremost, welcome back to the dirt side of things, man. It's good to see you back out here. I know you've been kind of popping in and out the last couple of seasons, but starting off season 9 with a 3rd place, that's got to feel good.
Yeah, can't complain about that at all. So we'll see. I don't know that I'll be able to be here consistently this season, but hopefully I can pop in and play spoiler every once in a while or something.
Well, I know in the past you had kind of said you're not a big fan of necessarily running some of the highline dominant tracks. It clearly suited you out here tonight.
Well, that gap between the first 2 kept growing, so I don't know if it suited me quite well enough. It's good memory on your part. I don't love running right around the top on the wall at Eldora. I make too many small mistakes, and you do that. That's a 10th here, a 10th there, and in a 40-lap race, that's 2 to 4 seconds that you end up behind.
For sure, and obviously, for a while there was some crazy action with you and Billy and Chris and JR and sort of a hornet's nest going on between that. Talk me through your mentality there when that was all going on. Were you in a little bit of survival mode, just trying to hold on and stick it to the end, or were you in full attack saying, no, I want to keep on to this podium?
No, that probably would have had to be the one restart that we had there somewhere fairly early in the race, and I had to start on the inside. So, you got to fight and get yourself back up to that fast line, and try not to crash anybody in the process. I was actually just watching a little bit of it back while I was waiting in the waiting room there, and looks like I may have kind of come across JR's nose trying to shoot down and get ahead of, I think it was Chris, down the front straightaway to get that top going into 1 again. So apologies there if I messed him up. But yeah, I mean, the way this track specifically, but some of the others, Charlotte kind of gets this way too. You got to force your way up there. Otherwise you're just left out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Steven, once again, it's great to see you back here. Anybody you'd like to thank for this podium position tonight?
Yeah, just, thanks to all the guys in the league. It's always a fun place to run. Everybody runs clean. So that's really the biggest thing. Thanks to anybody that comes and watches the broadcast and stuck it out this long to hear me jibber jabber too. And kudos to you guys. I listened to a little bit of the broadcast when I wasn't racing tonight. Kenny, DJ, you guys are sounding good, and looking forward to all the good things to come on Virtual Grip.
Well, I know we're looking forward to bringing it to you. That was Steven Speeds, your 3rd place driver here tonight. Well, Kenny, that's going to wrap up our interviews, and it's just about going to wrap things up for us here. But any final thoughts you have on this incredible first race of Season 9?
Yeah, I mean, the parity throughout the field, all the battles that were going on from start to finish and how clean the race was, only 1 caution. But another interesting thing to note, 2nd place and 3rd place finishers tonight might not make it through the whole season. So could be some points implications as we ride our way through this season.
It could indeed. Remember, there are no drop weeks in the Bootleg Racing League, so that could come out to be a big spoiler. But, folks, that is, I think, going to wrap things up for us here at VGN. But before we go, we'd like to once again thank our sponsor for tonight's event, Gargamel's Kitchen. Once again, if you want to get in contact with them, visit their offices at 2045 South Valencia Street in Denver, Colorado, or go ahead and give them a call at 720-707-6178. On behalf of Kenny Kibbe and the rest of VGN, we'd like to thank you for joining us here tonight at the Eldora Speedway for the Dirt Street Stock Series. The next race for this series, well, it's going to be at 7 o'clock Eastern Time next Friday, October 8th at Weedsport, a wildly different track, so you're not going to want to miss that one. The next race on the network, though, well, that's going to be tomorrow night as the Grand National Series starts off their season at Stafford Motor Speedway. It'll be Saturday, October 2nd at 8:55 Eastern. We'll be back next week for that race at Weedsport, but until then, this has been a production of Skitter Creek Motorsports Group and the Virtual Grip Network. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.